Welcome back to the channel, History Aficionados. Today, we re-tackling one of the most significant and catastrophic events in the history of the Tang Dynasty, the Lushan Rebellion 755763 CE. This devastating rebellion shook the foundations of the Tang Empire, leading to massive loss of life, territorial fragmentation, and a permanent shift in the political and military landscape of China. If you're familiar with the rebellion, you know it as often referred to as a defining moment in the downfall of the Tang Dynasty. But what were the underlying causes of this revolt, and how did it unfold? Let's explore the history, the key figures, and the lasting consequences of one of the deadliest internal conflicts in Chinese history. To understand the significance of the Lushan rebellion, we first need to grasp the context of the Tang Dynasty at its height. By the mid-8th century, the Tang Dynasty was one of the most powerful and prosperous empires in the world. At its peak, the Tang Empire was expansive, controlling vast territory in Central Asia, the Korean Peninsula, and Southeast Asia. The capital, Chang'an, modern-day Xi'an, was a global metropolis, a hub of culture, commerce, and intellectual activity. The Tang period saw remarkable achievements in art, literature, and technology. It was a golden age for Chinese civilization. However, underneath this veneer of prosperity, cracks had started to appear. The central government had become increasingly weak, plagued by corruption, factionalism, and political intrigue. Moreover, the emperor's reliance on military governors Jidushi to control frontier regions and maintain order created a growing sense of military autonomy that would later fuel the rebellion. Lushan was a key figure in the rebellion, but his story begins not as a rebel, but as a trusted military leader within the Tang Empire. Originally from the northern frontier, Lushan was of Sogdian and Turkish descent, a region that was vital to the Silk Road trade. He initially served in the Tang military, rising through the ranks due to his strong leadership and martial prowess. By the early 740s, Lushan had been appointed as the governor of Fanyang and Pinglu, two key frontier regions in northern China, where he was entrusted with substantial military power. At this time, the Tang court was experiencing internal instability, and the Emperor Xuanzang R. 712 to 756, who had overseen the empire's cultural and economic flourishing, began relying more heavily on military leaders like Lushan to manage increasingly restive frontier regions. Lushan's position and his ability to command powerful armies made him an influential figure in the imperial court. However, this power also gave him the ability to challenge the emperor when he felt his own position was threatened. The exact causes of the Lushan rebellion are multifaceted and complex. On the surface, the rebellion was the result of personal ambition, but it also highlighted deeper issues within the Tang political system. 1. Lushan's grievances. Lushan was not just a military commander. He had grown increasingly disillusioned with the Tang court. In 755, after a series of personal insults and conflicts with imperial officials, he declared himself emperor of a new state, Yan. His decision was precipitated by his belief that the central government was corrupt, weak, and unable to properly reward his loyalty and military achievements. Lushan believed his own power was more secure than that of the emperor. 2. The weakness of the Tang court. By this point in the Tang Dynasty, the court was embroiled in infighting. The emperor, Xuanzang, had become distracted by his relationship with his consort, Yang Gaifei, leading to accusations of mismanagement and neglect of state affairs. This created a power vacuum that military governors like Lushan were more than willing to exploit. 3. Military autonomy and the system of Jidushi. The Tang Dynasty's reliance on military governors, or Jidushi, to maintain control over distant provinces created a situation where local generals could become autonomous and challenging to the emperor's authority. Lushan's rebellion was a natural consequence of this decentralization, as he had built a loyal army with substantial resources and could act independently of the emperor. In 755 CE, and Lushan's forces, bolstered by a large army of soldiers from the northern frontier and local supporters, marched toward the capital, Chang'an. He gathered a coalition of disaffected military personnel, local leaders, and ethnic groups that resented the central government. His rebellion was swift and violent as he captured key cities in northern China and headed southward. Initially, Emperor Xuanzong and his court were caught off guard. Despite Lushan's rapid advances, the Tang forces struggled to mobilize against the rebellion. In the chaos, Xuanzong fled the capital with his court, retreating to Sichuan to regroup. This marked the beginning of a civil war that would devastate China for nearly a decade. The Lushan rebellion was catastrophic not only because of the military confrontation, but because of its widespread social and economic impact. The rebellion led to the deaths of millions, with estimates ranging from several million to upwards of 36 million, making it one of the deadliest conflicts in world history. Cities were ravaged, agricultural production halted, and trade routes disrupted. The once thriving economy of the Tang Empire ground to a halt as a result of the ongoing conflict, and Lushan's forces besieged the capital, Chang'an, and caused widespread devastation. The rebellion also led to significant political shifts as the imperial family's authority was severely weakened and regional military leaders gained more power. Over time, as the rebellion dragged on and Lushan's leadership became more erratic and violent, leading to a fractured command structure within his own ranks. And Lushan's rebellion did not last indefinitely, though its effects were long-lasting. In 757 CE, 2 years after the rebellion began, and Lushan was assassinated by his own son, and Qingshu, who took over leadership of the rebel forces. However, the rebellion did not die within Lushan. His successor continued to challenge the Tang court, although internal strife and external pressure eventually led to the defeat of the Yan forces. The Tang Dynasty, under Emperor Daizong, managed to regain control of the central territories by 763 CE, though the empire would never fully recover from the devastation. The rebellion's long-term effects included a weakening of imperial power, a significant decline in central authority, and the further decentralization of military power across China. The Lushan rebellion is seen as a watershed moment in Chinese history. It marked the beginning of the decline of the Tang Dynasty, even though the empire would persist for another century. The rebellion showed the dangers of a decentralized power structure and the devastating consequences of internal strife within the imperial court. The emperor's loss of control over military governors was never fully reversed, and China would face centuries of fragmentation and instability as a result of the lessons learned from this uprising. Furthermore, the rebellion left a psychological and cultural scar on the Chinese collective memory, representing both the fragility of the imperial system and the enormous costs of rebellion and civil war. The Lushan rebellion stands as one of the most catastrophic events in Chinese history, a devastating internal conflict that altered the trajectory of the Tang Dynasty forever. It shows the fragility of imperial authority and the immense cost of internal dissent. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the Lushan rebellion teaches us about governance, rebellion, and power?